And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome CMO, Vice President of Medical and Scientific Initiatives, Dr. Rusell Osgoodthorpe.
Wow! It is wonderful to be here together with you this morning. I am a little bit nervous. To tell you the truth, I have never thought that I would stand on a stage like this and look at a scene like this before. So, thank you. I really, really do appreciate your kindness. Leon was incredible. That musical number was amazing. Sitting behind and listening to it, I said to myself, I have to follow that? You've got to be kidding. But I'm going to try really hard. I think a little bit of an introduction would be in order. Tell you just a little bit about myself and how I found my way to doTERRA. I'm a proud husband and father of this crew. I love them with all my heart. They're why I show up in the morning. I'm also a pediatrician. I studied at University of Colorado, Denver Children's Hospital. Love that place with all my heart. It's where I learned how to take care of children. It will forever be a part of me. I left residency and did a fellowship in pediatric infectious diseases at Washington University in St. Louis. All right, the show me state, right over there. So I loved that part of my life, and I was faculty at Washington University for a couple of years before coming to Intermountain Healthcare to a custom-made position with Intermountain Healthcare, University of Utah, and Primary Children's Hospital. I was tasked with building a children's specialty group in Utah County, just a little south of us here in Provo. And over the last 10, 11 years, I was able to work with some of the most cherished colleagues of mine, building that little group. During that process, they taught me how to be a medical executive, and I really enjoyed innovating. It was there that I learned that I am an innovator. When somebody says something can't be done, that's when I get to work. I grind my teeth and I just get down in the dirt and I want to solve problems and do things that people don't think can be done, but that everybody thinks need to be done. So why did I end up at doTERRA from this particular position? Well, as I'm standing here in front of you, I'm really asking myself that question again. It is a little bit daunting to be with you, but I only have to do this occasionally, they say, so that's good. But the reason why I'm here, they're very familiar to you. To leave a children's hospital, I had to come to a place that had a beating heart. The Healing Hands Foundation of doTERRA is the beating heart of our organization. It is how we enter the world. I am proud to be associated with it. The hospital in Somalia is so exciting to me, providing care to over 500,000 people who have no opportunity to get health care, if not for doTERRA and the Healing Hands Foundation. That's really quite miraculous to me. Co-impact sourcing, helping hundreds of thousands of people lead a better life and become stronger together. This co-impact sourcing, I learned over 5 months of investigating this job, was integral to sourcing certified pure therapeutic grade oils. Without them, my position here wouldn't be possible. And I'll explain why shortly. Lastly, doTERRA Healthcare Initiatives, Prime Meridian Healthcare, is why I'm here. To build something that has never been built before, a problem in American healthcare that has not yet been solved. I look forward to those kinds of challenges. The last reason I'm here is because of the culture and people here. I've known Dave Sterling and Greg Cook for over a decade. And when I knew them a decade ago, when doTERRA was barely beginning, and saw them get to work and do something that they thought was going to be really important, but that they knew the task was daunting and huge before them, they became better versions of themselves over the last decade. They are still them, and I love that about these two men. They helped bring me here, and after coming, I met people like Emily Wright and Dr. Hill who welcomed me, recruited me with open arms, and helped me find my way from Intermountain Healthcare to doTERRA. The culture of doTERRA is unique. I know you guys all know it, but for somebody who didn't know this and isn't familiar with this, you know you're different, right? I'm really proud to be associated with you. You are a unique group of people trying to change the world in your own little way, and I love that about you. So let's talk a little bit more about quality and purity. Like I said, I examined doTERRA for over 5 months. To do research on essential oils, consistency and quality are absolutely required. The type of research I do is medical research. It can't be done if you don't have consistent product. For if you did a study on an inconsistent product, 1 year that product would be at this level, the next year it would be here, and you cannot rely on results of medical studies if you don't have consistency. The whole industry is at risk right now of being commoditized. And to do this, to commoditize essential oils, quality has to be sacrificed. doTERRA will never do that. That's why I'm here. I am going to scientifically characterize what you already know about essential oils. This will bring essential oils, doTERRA essential oils, to a larger group of people. I chose doTERRA for the groundbreaking, dogma-shattering research that can be done on these products. So, let's take you through a few of doTERRA's healthcare initiatives and how we're going to do that. So first, we've heard already yesterday and today, pursue what is pure. This is our foundation for doTERRA's healthcare initiatives. On that foundation stands Prime Meridian Healthcare, a clinician network, institutional relationships, and clinical research. These 4 efforts of Prime Meridian working together will lead to efficacy studies, and efficacy is at the heart of all of doTERRA's healthcare initiatives. To help explain the research aspect of what I'm going to do at doTERRA, I want to teach you, if you'll allow me, a few things about clinical research. It's done in phases. The first phase is phase 0. I know they should have started with phase 1, but they'd already built phase 1 before they determined that they needed phase 0, so just stay with me. So phase 0 is consistency. Consistency is required, like I said. After you do phase 0, you can move on to phase 1. Phase 1 is pharmacokinetics or dosing. In the dietary supplement world, we call that serving size. And it has not been done in our field in a rigorous manner. It needs to be done. The second phase is safety. Prospective safety trials will be done under my direction that will allow us to better understand how to use these products for you and your family. And then the third phase is efficacy trials. We'll get there together. Who do I do this work with? I have this wonderful group of people that I've come to know. In the 5 months that I looked at doTERRA, I met most of them. We've hired some of them since my arrival. We have physicians, pharmacists, pharmacotoxicologists, molecular biologists, microbiologists, analytical chemists. The group of these folks are really, they were surprising to me. I wasn't expecting to find it. Most essential oil companies, in fact, I think we're the only essential oil company that has anything like this. And it's impressive. I'm privileged to work with each of them. So that's the research. Let's talk about relationships. For a moment, I need you to think about a future state for doTERRA. Think about the kinds of relationships that we can build when we do this research. Science is collaborative, it's peer-reviewed, and it's published. A relationship is so much more than transactional. It's mutually beneficial. We want long-term relationships with institutions, scientific organizations, industry leaders, hospital groups, and systems that will allow us to take doTERRA into the next phase of its development. let me introduce you to some of those partners in the scientific effort to advance the science and understanding of essential oils. Last year, I was here at convention. You didn't know that, but I was. And I was checking all of you out. I was pretty convinced after watching this last year I wasn't coming. Well, I cannot do that. And here I am. But last year at convention, I listened to Mary Beckerly, the CEO of Huntsman Cancer Institute, talk on this very stage about comprehensive cancer care at the Huntsman Cancer Institute and how doTERRA was helping support that. Just last week, I participated in the groundbreaking of the Catherine F. Kirk Center for Comprehensive Cancer Care and Women's Cancers at Huntsman Cancer Institute. It is an amazing institution, one of the leading cancer institutes in the country. We are going to do some neat work together with Huntsman in the future. Second, later today, you're going to meet Dr. Doug Flora, the medical director of St. Elizabeth's Healthcare. They are a very large system in the greater Cincinnati area, northern Kentucky. All right. They provide care to over 315,000 people with over 3 million encounters last year. They're expanding their cancer center to 250,000 square feet in 2020. doTERRA is part of it. I don't want to steal Dr. Flora's thunder, but there's a very important announcement about our long-term relationship that he'll make later today. I count him now as a colleague and a friend. He's a gentleman, and you're going to have so much fun with him. I'm equally excited to introduce to you the University of Mississippi. All right. The University of Mississippi's National Center for Natural Product Research is the only FDA center of excellence for natural product research in the United States. We are partnering with the University of Mississippi's National Center for Natural Product Research, that doesn't quite roll off the tongue, to do a lot of the clinical trials I spoke with you about earlier. Later, you're going to hear from Dr. Icholas Khan, the director of this National Center for Natural Product Research, and he'll detail some of the work that we're going to do together next year and in the future. Intermountain Healthcare, where I came from, is a nationally recognized center for quality and value. This particular system is unique. It's been, I won't go through all the stuff on the slides, but if we all practiced across the United States like Intermountain Healthcare did, Dartmouth did this research and found that Medicare would save over 40% of its costs if we just practiced like the doctors and caregivers at Intermountain Healthcare. I was proud to work for them. They are a wonderful system. Together we are exploring new ways that we can take primary care and evolve it into a truly integrative healthcare system. I'm looking forward to working with them on this and all of you in the future as well. Let's talk a little bit about Prime Meridian Healthcare for a moment. Thank you. Prime Meridian is why I came to doTERRA. The mission that Dave Sterling presented of changing healthcare and integrating healthcare is central to why I'm here. Prime Meridian, however, has a very difficult job. It is trying to take two worlds that are widely separated from one another. Alternative medicine and evidence-based medicine, or the allopathic medical tradition. These two medical traditions, they don't like one another very much. And you know that. It takes a unique allopathic physician to care for you and your families that will listen and not condescend. Prime Meridian Healthcare is building a truly new integrative health standard from these two medical traditions. This is a complex, difficult task, one that in our 3 clinics that we currently have open, we've learned a great deal from over the last year. We remain committed to establishing a network of clinics across the United States. Currently, our flagship clinic on our main campus at Pleasant Grove, how many of you toured that? We saw so many buses go down. Yeah. It is one of the most beautiful clinical spaces in the state, I believe. It is a stunning space to take care of patients. We look forward to seeing many of you there. And our other clinics in Nashville and St. George have taught us how much work there is to do to take these two worlds and bring them together. We're going to do that work together with you. You'll hear more about that in a moment from my colleague. I want to speak for a moment about advanced preventative care. Advanced preventative care is our care philosophy at Prime Meridian Healthcare. It's more than just a concept. Advanced preventative care, if you can go back one slide, sorry, I pushed that too soon. Thank you. Advanced preventative care takes a typical pre-clinic routine where you fill out forms and sit in a waiting room, and then you wonder if anybody actually read that stuff. It takes that pre-clinic routine and turns it on its ear. All of that work will be done prior to your arrival through a health coach, and that health coach will obtain not only your past medical history, your social history, and your family history, but your diet history, your sleep history, your exercise history, everything that helps you be more well and be more healthy. That information will be gathered and compiled, given to your provider, digested before you come in and sit down. The waiting room is no longer there. You sit down with your provider and the information that is gathered is discussed with you. Strategies are developed with you rather than being dictated to. This process is unique, and it requires a great deal of training to do. We're committed to do it. The main reason why we do this is we want to help you decrease your dependence on prescription drugs. Imagine you and your family preventing episodes of illness rather than just dealing with them as they arise. So what can doTERRA healthcare initiatives do for you? Let me show you how these initiatives work together. doTERRA is again going to lead the way by building on a foundation of quality and purity and consistency, by doing clinical research, as we discussed earlier, through scientific collaboration with NCNPR, Roseman University, medical collaborations with St. Elizabeth Healthcare, the Huntsman Cancer Institute, Intermountain Healthcare, and Prime Meridian Healthcare clinics, where we will be able to do some of the studies that we just described. These initiatives will change the way you think about doTERRA and allow you to bring doTERRA to a larger audience, because there will be stories that those people need to hear before they can listen. We will help you learn how to talk about them. To help you do that, I would like to talk to you about something science-y for a sec, all right? For lack of a better term. Let's talk for a second about pharmacokinetics. You can read that or take a picture of it, but pharmacokinetics is basically the science of dosing, and like I said earlier, in the dietary supplement world, the science of serving size. We actually have done some phase 1 clinical trials this year at doTERRA, and I'm going to introduce to you the data right now. Do you want to hear about it? Okay, these are the first phase 1 clinical trials on whole essential oils that doTERRA has ever done, and they are among the first the world has ever seen. So the protocol that I'm describing here was approved through an institutional review board for safety, and we tested the turmeric duocap, which Dr. Hill and Alex DeBell introduced to you yesterday. We tested the copaiba soft gel and lavender capsules in the doses that you can see there. We then gave those doses internally to our colleagues, and then we looked at their blood at the time points that you can see analyzed there over a 24-hour period. We analyzed their blood for the particularly important chemical compounds that you're all familiar with in these substances, in these oils, for the maximum concentration achieved, the minimum concentration, and the half-life. Half-life is how we get at dosing. So here's our first trial. So, turmeric duocap dosing data. What we did is we there were 3 phases of the study. The first phase is we gave turmeric oil, only the oil, to a human being. That's the graph that you see on your left. Then we gave curcumin to another group, curcumin powder alone. Then we measured the half-life. Half-life is how long it takes for half the concentration in the blood to drop. And what you see there is turmeric oil had a half-life of 9 hours, and curcumin had a half-life of 14 hours. Now, those of you who have really good eyes can see that on the y-axis, the curcumin is not very bioavailable. How many of you already knew that curcumin is not very bioavailable? Raise your hand if you're a nerd. All right, good. I'm proud of you. So curcumin is not very bioavailable. The third group of patients that we tested, we gave both turmeric oil and curcumin to, and then we looked at their blood. What happened was that the curcumin bioavailability was increased 11-fold. You don't get that, obviously. That's a little more like it. Okay, I hear it. All right, so what we were able to show in this particular trial was that curcumin, which is not very bioavailable on its own, when given in a duo capsule with turmeric oil, curcumin, which has extremely important bioactive effects, increased its bioavailability in the blood 11-fold. That's important information. Good. Copaiba, anyone? Okay, so let's look at what happened when we gave Copaiba. This curve is quite different. You see the dramatic rise as the concentration went from the stomach and through the liver and into the blood, but then you see a 2-phase drop. There's an initial steep drop, and then there's a slow drop. That initial steep drop has a half-life that is 2 hours long, and then it levels out and has a half-life of 12 hours. That's because beta-carophylline, which is what we were measuring in the blood, binds to the CBD2 receptor, and it is falling off, we believe, very slowly off of that receptor. So there's a 2-phase kinetics in beta-carophylline and Copaiba. So we take those two graphs, those 2 slopes, we average them together, and that gives us our half-life of 7 hours. This supports a once-a-day dosing strategy for Copaiba. How do you like that? How many of you want to see lavender? All right. This is actually the curve that I'm most excited about. Lavender essential oil, as you know, contains high concentrations of linalool. Linalool is one of the most important chemical compounds in our essential oil family. And in this particular oil, linalool has a half-life that you can see is quite different than the others. Linalool's half-life is short. It has a half-life of an hour. How many of you knew that? Nobody did. You're the first people in the world to know that. So linalool has a half-life of 1 hour. I'm not going to give you a dosing recommendation for linalool this morning. There's more work to be done. Linalool acetate, as you know, is the other main component of lavender. And there's some very exciting research that we'll share with you in upcoming meetings about lavender. I'm just going to leave you all hanging. I'm sorry, I just get to do it. So, what's happening here at doTERRA? We are now building and giving to you products built upon a foundation of phase 1 clinical trials. I put that peppermint oil up there because there's existing pharmacokinetic data on peppermint. These products are built upon a foundation of phase 1 clinical trials. And you need to understand this data. This will help you talk to people who need this sort of information before they can hear you and hear what you're saying. The folks at the showcase, Cody Beaumont, and the folks who've helped me do this science are waiting for you. They want to talk to you about it. Go and talk to them and learn how to speak to this data. We will continue to pump this out and change the world of essential oils. We're going to turn it on its ear. So where are we going? We will be doing multiple phased clinical trials. Scientific and medical relationships will be integral to publishing this research and challenging dogma. PMH clinics and providers across the country will give us a network and a platform to do this research. Advanced preventative care will help change people's lives. We will help people prevent illness rather than treat symptoms, and put away prescription drugs when possible. Over the next 10 years for doTERRA, I see these initiatives helping achieve doTERRA's initial vision of putting essential oils, doTERRA essential oils, in every home. Thank you for allowing me to be with you this morning. Very much appreciated. I would now like to introduce Del Brown, my good friend and colleague, partner in crime at Prime Meridian Healthcare. He's going to talk to you a little bit about our clinician network. Del.